Good morning, fellow porch pickers. Matt Johns here. Listen, I got something I need to ask of you. Do it for a favor here. I know I never really asked you anything on this channel before. Everything's been free up to this point, but here it is. I ask of you if you have an extra instrument sitting around your house collecting dust. You know you're not going to play it. Strings are probably about rusted and popped off. They're about molded and mildewed and corroded, and they're no good anymore. Whether it be a banjo, guitar, whatever it is, find somebody within your community, or if you already know somebody in your community with children or whatever, donate it to them. Donate it to them, especially if you know they've been wanting to learn how to play an instrument and you know they can't afford to get one on their own. Give. If you don't have money to give, but you're sitting on instruments, give them an instrument. You never know. That'll enrich somebody's life right there. You never know. Today, in this porch picking episode, it's kind of a busy day for me because as soon as I get this wrapped up here, I got to film for the next lesson, Foundation Part 2. So I got to get this done. It's a busy morning. So come along with me. So today on the docket, let me get you in there. This here is one of my old friends. It's on the workbench. I don't know. Some of y'all might recognize it. For those of you who don't, this is my very first banjo I've ever bought. I bought it back in 2012, 2011, 2012. I think it was late 2012. And this is the one I banged around on for a couple of years before I bought the Morgan Monroe I have now. And yeah, this was my first knock around banjo. Found it in a pawn shop. If y'all don't know the backstory on this one, I found him in a pawn shop. And this is not the original head. This head you actually see on it, this banjo head. Move the strings out of the way. We're all seeing the strings before. The strings you see, the banjo head you see on it is not the original. This actually came off my Morgan Monroe when I first got it. And I went ahead and put a top frosted white banjo head on that and switched this one over to this one. So this is the one off my Morgan Monroe. And it came in. She needs a little attention, and today I'm going to give it just that. Needs to be cleaned up. I need to probably adjust a few things and show you some of the things that I've done to it to make it work, because it was a used one. When I bought it out of the pawn shop, it was the most abused looking thing that I ever seen in my life, but I bought it anyway. And tuning peg down here, I don't know if I can bring y'all in that far to see it. Bring you in. Come on, a little further. There you go. Anyway, the fifth string tuning peg right here, it's a friction tuner. And what happened was the friction tuner actually came out of the slot, out of the neck. So I put some Gorilla Glue, wood glue, in there in the hole, pushed it back in there and set it, and it's never come out since. That's about 7 years ago, maybe. And about that, what year is this? I don't even know what year this is. So I'm going to say about that time, about 7 or so years. It wasn't short. It was a short time after I got it that fell out. Glued it back in, and then the actual tuner itself stopped working, because after you glue the thing in there and it pops out, it kind of stops turning. That's how it works. It's a friction tuner. It's got like a rubber O-ring on the very back of it that sits inside that neck, and when you turn it, it's supposed to help hold it, keep it from backing off and loosening up. But how I have it going here is I had the fifth string running through the hole. There's a hole on the actual back end of this little bracket right here. I got it running up the neck into this tuning peg up here. It's supposed to go for the fourth string. So that kind of moved a lot of my strings around till fast forward, Jesus Lord, till I had to come up with some other ways of doing the tuning pegs. I don't know if you can see on the camera or not, but this up here is an extra tuning peg drilled into the top of the headstock. And I'll show you all that in a few minutes. You'll see it better once I start putting strings on this. But off an old guitar I had too. So my dad and I, we drilled through the headstock and put in this extra tuning peg to make this work for me to be able to actually use that extra tuning peg for my. Luckily, the banjo strings, there long enough to make this kind of reach. My 4th string came up to this guy, 3rd string's here, and the 2nd and the 1st strings, they stayed on the pegs where they are now. Close this back in, bring you back down. A little more, a little more. Come on. You can go back further than that. Or can you? I guess you're about as far back as you get. So, enough jibber jab. Let's get busy with this guy. Let's take him apart. Go ahead and loosen up what you got here going on the 5th string. This guy, I better go ahead and get my winder out and take care of this real quick. Back him out. There it is. It's loose. Back all this out. But these strings are already loose, so that's not going to go anywhere. Go ahead and back him out. And I can feel tuning pegs moving back here, so I'm going to have to tighten these up. That one's pretty tight in there. Just about all these tuning pegs are moving in there, back and forth. Y'all can't really tell that on camera, but I'm actually able to see here. They got some play in them. So I had to go through it, make sure everything's set up right, and clean them up a little bit. This way. So this will be great for him because he's going to learn how to play it, and it'll be his first knock-around banjo. That's what's awesome about this. This banjo is just come along with a lot of stories on its own, you know. It's going to help at least 2 people that I know of learn how to play banjo. Me and my buddy Jay that I work with. So let's get this off. Get these strings cut off and get this thing apart. Y'all know what I do already. You know I don't mess around too much with trying to get these strings off, so I cut through the bull crap already. Come on. I've been drinking. I found some herbal teas and stuff for inflammation and stuff like that, turmeric and all that stuff. Teas. I've been drinking that for my hands and stuff, inflammation, and they seem to work a little bit. And then I got some heavier aspirin for they say for arthritis pain and all that other stuff too, because it does hurt, especially after I play banjo a little bit, because they say trigger finger and all that stuff happens a lot with musicians if it's repetitive motion and things of that nature. So I have been taking some stuff to help out with that, and seems to be working a little bit, not too much. It's worse in the morning after you rest it for a while because you're not moving it. The more you move it, the more that muscle kind of relaxes, the tendon kind of relaxes, and you're able to get better movement. So for the most part, it has been working. These strings have been on here for about 100 years. I haven't really taken them off. And I played this banjo here on a couple of videos on this channel. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you probably recognize it. This was kind of the fill-in banjo for when my other one was in the pawn shop. Yeah, sad story on that. But I got it back out. So that's why my Morgan Monroe's probably about a $2,000 banjo. But by the time I got it in and out of the pawn shop over the past 3 or 4 years, it's probably how much I paid for it. Get that out of here. Get that out of there. How about you? You gonna get out of there too? These strings are begging to come off here. They're tired looking. I don't know if y'all can see this in the camera either, but they're tired looking. And you can see I'm actually wearing a flannel shirt out here today. It's actually kind of a cool day today. How do you wrap around this? Get out of there. There you are. Alrighty, now let me turn the banjo and get these out of this tune. Hopefully this guy still, does that still twist? Oh, he still works. All right, so the tailpiece, bring y'all in. He still works. The screw still moves and stuff, but I'm gonna take it off too and maybe go ahead and clean on it a little bit and and because I can take it off. I don't think I'm gonna try to loosen up the banjo head because that is an old banjo head and it's been under tension for a while, and I don't have any guarantees that I can tighten it back down and it'd be worth anything. And I don't have money to replace a banjo head, and you know, I don't want to have to tell him, hey, by the way, can you buy a banjo head for a gifted banjo that I'm gonna give you? I'd rather him pay for it on his own when he has it and do it himself. But right now, what I'm gonna do is just try to do my best, and it don't seem to be cracked or anything of that nature. So I'm just gonna let it sit the way it is. Just clean it up real good. But I am gonna take this tailpiece off and kind of clean it up a little bit on the back end here. All these. And I really try not to use, I hate these, I don't know why. It's so hard to get these strings, for some reason for me, to get these strings, these hooks on the back of this. Especially, for some reason, it's always that 4 string, that D string, it's hard to get over it. I'm going to keep them in there to get over it. So let's start by taking this tailpiece off. Alright, so we got the tailpiece off here now. These are adjustable tailpieces. You screw this down. I don't know if you can see what it's doing. You screw this back here, and what it does, it lowers or raises it. See, this could actually move, see? It lowers it or raises it to put however much tension you want on the back end of them strings to make them work. And the screw just came out because I'm sitting here unscrewing it. Let me put that back in there. Go ahead and let's get this thing cleaned up. I won't take it all the way apart, but we'll go ahead and get it cleaned up. Bring you up a little higher here. Banjo neck was kind of twisting around, if you probably remember when I first said. So I'm gonna try to get this tightened up, straightened to where it ain't moving no more. This is a 14 mil on this guy. I don't know if you can see in there what I'm doing. I'm trying to hold the neck straight and hit that nut at the same time here. Get it tight. And don't overdo it. Especially on this guy, because I have experimented on him in the past, you know, finding out how he ticks and things of that nature. I switched necks on it with another neck or things of that nature too. And I have drilled on it, things of that nature to make it work. And I just put it back together as a 5-string. I put a 6-string Get Joe banjo guitar neck. Oh, that's another experiment too I need to show y'all. I'm trying to get that thing to working again. I turned my 6-string banjo into a slide guitar, like a slide steel guitar, I think a tabletop steel, or pretty much, I don't know what you call that, but pretty much a slide guitar. I put some electrical stuff. I put an electrical pickup in it. Damn these hands of mine. So small they don't hang on to shit. Get that out of there. Story of my life. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I need to make that another video too if you need me to, if you want me to. If you want to see that, how I did it. It needs some work because what's happening is the bridge itself's coming up. So the strings don't stay underneath proper tension, so they go out of tune a lot. So that's what I got to work on. But it works. I plugged it in and everything before, and it worked as of like a couple of years ago. I just never revisited that. So now, what we want to do, I got some petroleum jelly here. Vaseline! Got some of that, and what we're going to do, just take a little bit on the toothbrush here. Not too much. What I'm going to do in the moving parts, kind of lube this up a little bit. Kind of get in here, lube it up, clean it up, scrub it down real good. Get all that in there. And what you're doing is, not only are you cleaning it, but you're putting a little bit of lube in there at the same time. I got a damp sponge. I gotta enunciate my words, or y'all think I'll be saying some nasty stuff, nasty words. Clean up inside the string holsters and all that good stuff. Clean up in there real good. Clean it all out. See? Back there where the strings go. Get it out of there, cleaned up. Get back. Especially these toothbrushes help you get in the spots where you can't really reach. Now look at that brush. I just cleaned that out. I'm telling you, this thing's been sitting for a while. Get it on your britches leg. So now that you get it scrubbed out on the inside, and in there, now you just take your little damp sponge that you got here. It's good and moist, and you go and wipe her down now, all up in there. Clean it all up in there. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, it looks a lot better. This is actually the tailpiece that came off of Morgan Monroe too. When I first got it, it was an adjustable tailpiece. This is what came off of it, and I took it off, put me a no-knot tailpiece on there. I don't like a lot of bracketry to mess with, you know. Don't like a lot of stuff that I gotta adjust and clean, stuff like that. So a no-knot tailpiece was the way to go for me on my Morgan Monroe. It's a lot easier to keep up with, and I'm really worried about string tension as much on that. I never really have been. You do that like a lot of the bluegrass songs and stuff. You do that because you can get a brighter tone, things of that nature. It helps you out there. All right, so now we're just going to slap this back together, put all your stuff back in it. You don't lose nothing. Come on, get your butt in there. Oh, this thing's bent. I don't know if y'all can see that, but the screw here is kind of bent. I don't know if y'all could tell that. Whew, I don't know how that happened. Unless it's been, you know what? I think I do. I think it might have fell off the bed or whatever. It might have hit the back of it. All right, so the tailpiece is clean. Let's clean it. Let's get back to the rest of it. Come back to you. I'm going to apply some of that Vaseline on my fretboard here. I don't really recommend doing that. But that's just something I do. It's oil-based. The only thing I have is oil-based. They help kind of treat the wood a little bit and help protect it. And since it's been sitting so long, so I'm just going to dry rub it in there first. I'll apply it and dry rub it in there and clean it up real good. You can use it. I've been using it for years, but there's stuff out there you can buy on Amazon or any local guitar shop to help keep your wood from cracking, drying out, and things like that. If you don't want to use Vaseline. But I've been using it for years. I've got a little bit of crud off there. Now that I got it on there, now you're going to take your little sponge you got and kind of work it in there the rest of the way. Clean it up. I'm going to use the abrasive side. I'm going to give it a good scrubbing. Clean it up real good. Especially around the frets. Kind of got that dirt in there. Dirty. Couple girls here, just wipe it out real good. This fretboard is really nasty. Real nasty. I think it's been sitting for about a couple of years. I ain't really touched it since then. Yeah, this was my first one. First little banjo I had. I'm just glad to know it's going to go to somebody that's going to learn how to play it and get some use out of it. Best I can get that, I suppose. It's old, so it's going to show its age a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more on here and come back to you. I'm just going to pull out the flashlight now, and what I'm looking for is any kind of cracks or anything that might be happening with the banjo head down inside there. Still a little bit of dirt and grime in there, but that's not what I can get out. So it might just be stuck in there. But banjo head still feels good. Still tight. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to use a little bit more of adjusting. And I'll show you how I get the tone and stuff out of the banjo head without tapping all over it. Really, when you start tightening them down, you can actually hear it resonate through the banjo. Every time you hit it with your wrench, you can actually hear the tone, you know, through it. And as you're setting it up, I'll show you that too. Alright, so I went ahead and wiped down the banjo as well, off camera. Gave it a good wipe down with the sponge. And went in there with the toothbrush, which is now got to be thrown out. It's nasty. Between the Morgan Monroe and this one's really bad. Really bad. I just went in there and just cleaned it out just like that. And I went and just kind of dried it down with my paper towel. You don't need all the fancy stuff to do this with. You can just get normal household stuff. There's a little divot there that is making me nervous, but that might actually be the wood. I don't think that's actually banjo head related. So that's done. Now what I want to do is probably go ahead and reapply some Vaseline up here and come back to you, clean it up the rest of the way. I'm going to show you how I clean out that nut right there. To save the back ends of your old strings, your dead strings. And let me go ahead, I'll put my hand in there and just zoom you in to that nut over there and show you what I do to that to get it cleaned out. I just go through each one of the grooves with my string and just like you're flossing your teeth. It's like you're flossing your teeth. And you clean out all that little crud and gunk and dust that sits in them. Just like that. Clean it out. And that's how you do that. Very simple. Alright, so now we're going to clean the headstock up. I'll come back to you and get that done. I'm trying to get a lot done off camera. I'm running out of time here. I did most of the wiping down already. Now I'm going to clean out the inside now. See your spider webs in here. Get all that out of there. And just clean out the inside because I want to be able to get to these screws. I don't want to give it to them dusty and nasty. Just go ahead and get it wiped out. Around here. Cleaned up there. Clean up the back of it. The banjo head. Here's Stephen laughing. He must be up. I'm out here early in the morning doing this. Giggling. I'm gonna get that toothbrush. I'm gonna go to the toothbrush. There's a cutaway in here, just underneath the rim. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, but right here, I'll point with my toothbrush. Underneath the rim, right in here, there's a little cutaway right there. So I'm gonna take my toothbrush and just go right in there and kind of clean out, get all that dust out of there too. Just underneath the rim, scrub around, get all in there. Just want to get all the dust and stuff that might be sitting in there. You want to get it out of there. And take you a towel or something and come back up. Because all that can kind of damage a banjo head too. And not only that, it'll muffle it. It'll be extra surface resistance on the banjo head. I'm just going to shake loose. There's some big chunks of something coming out of there. I'm going to go ahead and just shake it loose. Get that in there too. So there that is. Oh, what did I drop? Oh, a little bit of Vaseline. The Vaseline! Vaseline, Vaseline. Get all that wiped out, cleaned up. I'm just going to buff it with a paper towel. There that is. That's that turnbuckle. I ain't going to mess with that at all. This would be a good little starter instrument for him where he can explore how one works and everything. Now, what I want to do now, I'm going to turn this around so y'all can see what I'm doing. I want to try to work on those tuning pegs and go ahead and tighten them up. Sorry for the grainy video. Every time I zoom my phone in, I guess it's because of the lighting. But I want to tighten up these screws that holding in the tuning pegs on each side. As you can see, there's some movement in just about all of them here. So I want to go along, make sure they're tightened down. And that's that extra one I told you about. So I got 5 tuning pegs on the headstock. And tension is usually okay. It never really has messed anything up as far as that is concerned. So let me get a screwdriver out and get working on that. A little fine tip Phillips should work just fine. Get in there and just tighten them down. Make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. Nothing's coming out. That's tight. A little more on that one. Oh, that one was really out of there. Over time, this shit vibrates out of there. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go through and check all of them. I ain't gonna leave nothing undone here. That one's really loose. Second string tuning peg was really loose. There was a lot of play. This guy, now he ain't too loose, but I'm gonna tighten him up. I always want to just go through and make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. Now these don't have those screws at the ends of these tuning pegs, if you can tell, if you see what I'm pointing at. So these don't have those screws. Some of them do. You just want to make sure those are tight too, if you do have them. This is a lower end model, and those really don't have them available. So this is a J Reynolds, to start a banjo. So let's now that I got those screws tightened, let's move on to putting the tailpiece back on here and move back into restringing it. Oh, no, I can't, because I got to make sure all the bracketry, let me back out, because I am way too close here. Come on. I can never get the zoom right. There it goes. Heading the right direction here. You got to pinch it. So now I got to go through the pot here and make sure all the screws are tightened down, and just go ahead and go through the banjo head, make sure it's good and it has a nice even tension around it too. And it feels pretty tight, so I'm not gonna, I probably won't even move it, because it is pretty tight now. And that banjo head being so old, and I ain't got an extra one laying around, I probably don't want to do that on second thought. But I will go ahead and make sure that all these Phillips head screws are tightened around it. So yeah, back to the other side. And you ain't got to go Hulk on this stuff. Just take them, they turn a little bit, turn them, twist them until they're just snug and they don't move no more. That was tight, and surprisingly, these are all still tight. They ain't moved. That one turned just a smidge, and it didn't turn too much. This is an old banjo, and you just gotta baby it, and it was a low-end banjo to boot. J Reynolds aren't really expensive banjos, and I think I picked this one up in the pawn shop for like $100. If that tells you anything. And that was about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, something like that. It's the same banjo I bought. My family bought the Dean from. He gave it to me Christmas about 12, 13 years ago. I don't remember exactly the date. I was about round it out. But you want to make sure everything's good and snug. Like I said before, banjos are tensioned instruments, and you want everything to be kind of snug, or you're gonna get some weird vibrations, weird noises coming from them. Hey y'all, welcome back. I paused you for just a minute. I'll put the tailpiece back on now. They go back on there easy, but you gotta make sure, because these do have claws, or not, or like little hooks on the top of them. You got to make sure they go over, the rest over that banjo rim, the head rim. Talk about that ring that goes around it, presses down on the banjo head. These hooks on the back of those rest on that. So you want to make sure it's where it's supposed to be. Let me turn this around now and look. And it's not. See? You just want to take it, loosen it back up. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. Let me bring the banjo up there where you can see it. There's hooks here, right on here. And you got to rest it over this ring right here. So what I'm doing is I'm loosening it back up a little bit. And I got to make sure all that, and let's see if I can back this off a little bit. What's going on here? There you go. That screw was bent, and that's what it was doing. It was holding it off. Back that out quite a bit here and lift this up, and then you're able to, in theory here, what is going on here? Back that out. Come here. All right, loosen that up some more. Get it over the head here. There it goes. I got it. Got it. Relax, guys. I got it. All right, so flip that back over here. And the reason why I flipped it back over, get your plier out. Hold it steady for the first turns or two. You want to make sure it's still on that banjo rim. Just tighten it down. And you ain't got to go whole hog on it. That's feeling pretty tight right there. It is actually pushing down on the banjo head itself too. The hooks are bringing that ring down too, so you don't have to go whole hog on it, just where, good. All right, so that's still, I like that tension on that. That might actually be too tight, but I'm not gonna change it. I don't wanna mess with it too much. If I keep moving that banjo head around, and as old as it is, it might bust. So I ain't gonna touch it. Never mess with a good thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, don't mess with it. But I will go ahead and show you what I was talking about when I get how I set these banjo heads up, how I know I got them at the tightness that I like. Let me get out a wrench here. If I can find them. There they are. Get out my wrench here. Listen for it. Every time you turn on one of these bolts and screws, you'll actually hear the resonance to the banjo head as it gets tighter. And that's about where the tone I like, right there. You can actually hear it through the banjo, feel it. So don't be afraid to explore your banjos. Take them apart, put them back together, and you'll learn over time how to take care of them, how they work, and methods of dealing with them. So, or how to put them back together and all this stuff. Don't be afraid to do that. Explore. Me, I just listen for that noise. As I'm tightening it, I know the banjo head's getting tighter because that noise becomes more pronounced. And there you go. So now we are moving onward and upward. It's been cleaned, and as best I can, I probably should take a toothbrush in here, probably clean up those, but all that dust tells a story, so I'm gonna leave it alone. There we go. Now, got that done. Now we're ready for stringing. Yes. Make sure that's where it's supposed to be right there. I'm gonna bring that all the way up. Start stringing out. Strings I'm putting on here. I have extra strings laying around, so I don't mind giving them away, doing something nice for somebody that's a nice person. Jay's a real hell of a guy, so I don't mind doing this. But like I said, if y'all have extra instruments laying around, you haven't touched them in years, and you don't have any other plans of doing them, just find somebody and give it to them. Enrich their lives a little bit. I don't know how often I'll be able to do an instrument giveaway, but when I do, when I have the chance, I'm going to do it. So now, here, take these out. And I'll say it, I said it once, and I'll say it again. There's no reason why you can't string these up yourself. You see all these coded tabs? And they get you a list on the backs of these telling you what strings, what colors, and all that stuff, where they go on the banjo in correlation to the banjo. Lay that out where you can see and read it. And so let's see. The fifth string is a red color. See? Look at that. This is the fifth string, and it's going to go on there first. So let's start stringing this up, and I'll come back to you. I'm gonna go ahead and get the worst string to put on here out of the way because for some reason it's just hard to get on here. This is the 4 string for me. That's why I hate these tail pieces like this, because Lord, it's just yeah. I'm gonna get this string on here, and I'm using this wound hook from the Phosphor Bronze set. Because they're affordable, you know. I get like multiple packs off of Amazon. When I do order, I keep extra string sets on hand. And speaking of which, I need to go ahead and order some more guitar string. I am out. I am out of it. Come on. Get in. See? There it goes. Oh, shoot. Almost had it. Oh, come on. Almost. Come on. Get in there. Oh, you punk. Popped right out of there, didn't you? Alright, so what I'm going to have to do, I'm just kind of bend it a little bit. I hate doing that, but I'm going to bend you just a little bit. Alright. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh my God. Did I get it? I got it, guys. I got it. I got it. Damn. So that the D string has to come up here to the top left on this banjo. I'm fixing to turn it around so you can kind of see where I'm at, what I'm doing here in just a minute. Get that string on here first. And this is about the only string. I don't think I can go back around. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm going to do it anyway. Because, you know, I like to go into the hole twice and knot it to tune peg. It helps the string from backing back out and loosening up and all that good stuff. Yeah, I made it. Go ahead and tighten it down. Tighten her down, boys. Ooh. Y'all didn't hear that, because I can't edit that out. Alright, so there's that. Oh, you're in the wrong slot, so you gotta come over there. There it is. Well, sounds banjo-ish. Alright, one last string, and I'm going to show you how I settle all the strings in when I first put them on, and set my intonation on these things, because there's no marking on this banjo head where my bridge was, so I'm going to have to set the intonation on here. And I'll show you what I do, I'll show you what I listen for, and hopefully that'll help you out too. I do a lot by ear, and I've always learned stuff by ear, learning how to play. Really couldn't read music too well. And I really didn't have access to a lot of tuners, so I had to kind of listen and use my ears. So let me get this last string on and come back to you. Alright, so Uncle Matt's going to preach at you for a second. You notice I didn't cut any of these whiskers off on the headstock. When I put them on, leave them on there. Don't cut them off for a good reason. You want to leave them on there till you get everything set up, get everything in tune, because if you go ahead and cut them off, there's a good chance you might have to take them off if you got a problem somewhere, and you might mess yourself up. So leave them long and whiskery until you get everything set up, intonation set, everything done. So let's get this thing set up and in tune here. Let's bring it back down, 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 down. Give it a pinch. Pinch, pinch, more. Come on. Phone, really? 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 Alright, so it's not in the best tunings, but it's close. So what you want to do, you want to settle the string, and I already showed you this, is what I do is I lift up on the string, push, bring it to me, pick up, let go. Bring it back up. This is going to fall flat for the first couple hours on here. Do it again. Bring it to you, push, lift, slap. Until it stops doing it. Now I'm going to go through all the strings and do that real quick and come back to you because I'm running out of time here. Alright, I got them settled in the pegs as best I could. They might fall out of tune. Sounds good, don't you? Now, like I said, you can adjust these tail pieces to adjust the tension. on the banjo head to get a brighter tone. Now let's set the intonation real quick. Alright, so you want to do the harmonic kind of thing. You go to the 12th fret, barely touch the string. Except for the 5th string, you want to go up to the 17th fret because it's 5 frets up pretty much. So now you want to listen for the difference in tone between the open string and the harmonic. If they match, your intonation is just fine. Now listen to the difference if I was to push this bridge up just a smidge. Listen. Well, there ain't much difference there, but it's supposed to sound like one note together, which makes a difference. And when you play your chords and stuff, so it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. Strings need a little bit more settling. Fell out of tune just by a little much, but there you go. This banjo is on to make somebody else really happy, and hopefully they have a good journey in learning how to play music with it as much as I have. And I'm actually going to take and put this in today's Foundation Part 2 video of the Fellingsdrum to go ahead and that we, kind of say goodbye to it and have one last go around with it. So today I'm going to use this in today's lesson video. So, which I got to get this done and get started recording on that, so I got to get off here. So thank you so much for clicking on. Hit that subscribe button for more porch picking lessons and setting ups and all this other stuff. More to come. Hit that bell for new video notifications. Goodbye, and keep playing, guys.